Hey up guys, S-Man back at it again with a brand new review of Pokémon Horizons. Now, before we start the review, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Alright, let's get right into that review. This episode picks up right where last one left off, with Liko and Roy escaping the mines and going to a Pokemon Center to help cure Captain Pikachu. They're worried about Freed when suddenly he just walks in. Yep, that's right, all the suspense of Freed and Amifio getting trapped together in the mines just gone within literally the first minute of the episode when Freed walks into the Poke Center with Charizard and says, "I escaped." Okay, and we don't even get to see it nor what happened to Amifio and the other explorers. We see them later in the episode, but they never mention how they got out. The literal exit was blocked off. And we see Freed know how to get back in there because of a little way he got out. It was weird. The fact that we just cut right to Freed being out instead of maybe getting a few seconds of him being trapped. Yeah, that really annoyed me. Another thing is, before they go back to the mines, Freed is acting really suspicious, more than usual. Yeah, it's a common trait for him to not mention stuff, but I don't know. He just was giving off this weird vibe the whole time. He was insistent on going back into the mine to fight Moltres, even though they all got literal walked on last time. But yeah, another thing before they go back in the mine is we actually see something I was complaining about. We see Wattrel again, and of course Suicune and it are still bickering, but Sprigatito is able to solve it with its ability and using its paws and scent to mellow out the vibe. Which, yeah, that's basically going back on all their development, going closer together. I do like the idea that they're still bickering and it's not fully resolved, but they're still willing to be a team. Another thing is, Hatena's still in Liko's hoodie, and I just love that. This is where the episode truly picks up, where they head back into the mine to fight Moltres. Freed sends out Pikachu and Charizard, and Roy his Suicune, and Liko his Sprigatito. They all at first try to have this strategy where Pikachu, Charizard, and Suicune distract it while Sprigatito is using its leafage. Yeah, I don't know why that was the strategy. Another thing is, we didn't see the comeback of Liko's different leafage strategies. Instead, we just saw her using a regular leafage, and Sprigatito's more mild out area when it taps its paws. And I think that it was meant to make it a little stronger. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. After this, Liko, Sprigatito get on Charizard back, and they go up close to fight with Flamethrower, which was a really cool scene with Roy even supporting it from the floor and hits it. But since Suicune is weak, it practically does nothing. Which leads Liko to using a leafage with its weird paw technique, and it fails with Moltres flapping all of it back and hitting them all back. Where Cap also does risk its life to save Sprigatito once again. Liko and Roy then think it's a good idea to try to convince Moltres to calm down by showing it the ancient Pokeballs they have of Arboliva and Rayquaza. This doesn't work at all, and Moltres tries to attack it before Cap steps in. But suddenly, Liko's pendant glows yet again, and Arboliva comes out. And this is where the episode really picks up for me, because this is where Liko starts to shine. Liko and Arboliva work together and set a grassy terrain, which then Sprigatito reacts to, not evolving, but looking like it almost did for a second. That would have been insane. And using an extra strong leafage due to the grassy terrain. Moltres tries to shoot this back with its wings yet again, but Freed and Roy step in with Wattrel and Charizard, doing the same thing with a stronger effect, creating a little leaf wind tornado where Pikachu is able to jump in, distract it, and Sprigatito is able to finally take down the Moltres, or somewhat take it down, as it's now calm and willing to listen. Terrapagos then just appears. Yeah, it's out of the pendant, and they don't get it back into its pendant form for the rest of the episode, but that's to talk more about later. After Moltres is calmed down, we actually see the ancient Pokemon trainer Lucian yet again talking to its Pokemon. That's when Moltres just goes back into its Pokeball along with Arboliva, and Liko now has access to both. Yep. Not only does she have a pendant with a Terrapagos in it, Liko also has a Galarian Moltres that technically belongs to her because she has been using Arboliva and she's the only one able to open the Pokeballs because of her pendant. Yep. Yeah, I think it's cool that Lucian had multiple legendaries on his team, but the fact that they got one of them before the end of the first arc, literally this is the episode before Arc 1 ends, Liko and Roy both still have their starters practically in their baby forms, with 2 Pokemon that are also in their baby forms, not even evolved yet, and they now have access to a legendary that they can use whenever they want. Yeah, Horizons is all over the place. But this does get me thinking, how is this going to tie into Terrapagos and Area Zero? Because I also want to do a theory on this once I finish the DLC. I have 2 videos planned for before next episode, which there's a 2-week break, so I should be able to get them both recorded. That being my review of the Teal Mask and the implications it has upon the anime and the lore. Because even in games, we still know practically nothing about Area Zero and this paradise, and I want to go in depth in a video about this soon, but yeah. After the fight, Kabu actually shows up to the mines after hearing reports of this, which is a nice detail because they keep bringing up Kabu and his training and how it's impacted them, and we even keep seeing Kabu, which is nice. But there's also something suspicious as they're trying to get out of there quickly, as they explain to Kabu's Galarian Moltres causing trouble in the mine, and Fried's also holding something in his jacket. Once they run off, it's revealed that it's actually a sleeping Terrapagos who has not gone back to the pendant form. This is going to lead right into the next episode, where they finally meet Liko's grandmother. But that's not where the episode ends. It actually ends with Amithio and the Explorers declaring they will get the pendant. Yeah. Okay. I really like this episode, but I just personally think this episode could have been 2 extra episodes and just gone in a completely different way. I initially thought this episode was going to be the Rising Volt Tacklers and the Explorers teaming up to take down Moltres and failing as it gets away. But no, Explorers just disappeared at the end, where they're standing menacingly saying, "We gotta get that pendant," even though that basically contradicts Amithio's whole thing saying, "Screw my orders, I'm going for that Rayquaza." I'm curious if we're gonna see Rayquaza again, and Amithio, I don't know if he knows the full connection between the pendant and Rayquaza, like Spinel does, who I also curious what happened to him and how is he gonna play a role, because we know the other Explorers, admins are gonna be relevant soon, so I'm curious if Spinel is also gonna be seen. Another thing is Fried's whole vibe in the first half of this episode felt off and never really addressed and was just not relevant at all. I was at first thinking maybe Galarian Moltres did something to him that is trying to lead Liko and Roy back into the mine for some unknown reason. Maybe it has to do with the pendant. But no, it was just Fried being Fried. And I definitely think the battle could have been handled better. I like the idea that it's them working together, but we don't get this fully used because it's mainly just Liko attacking with Fried and Roy distracting. And the idea that Arboliva with the assist, I really like the idea that these ancient Pokemon could just help them at any point, but the fact that Moltres is one now, I don't know about that. It's going to be weird seeing trainers this early commanding legendaries. But yeah, overall, I do like parts of this episode, but then I just think back to what this episode could have been, and that just makes me like it less. So overall, I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10. It definitely got me excited for next episode in Frontier of Horizons, but it definitely could have and should have been better than it was. Yeah. Hope you guys like this video. Subscribe for more content like this in the future. Esmit, signing off.
Look, Lil Dishy on the beat. Lil Dishy about to speak. Damn, Lil Dishy.
I can be lazy too. Look at me.
Lil Dishy making bank, counting all these racks. Running back for years, yeah, my name all in your facts. Know some politicians, yeah, I never pay a tax. If I catch that kid, I'ma put him in a pack. Hit him with this pole like I'm defense playing lax. Dump him in the trash like a lineman getting sacked. Open up the safe, you know it's filled with stacks. They saying that I peaked, we ain't even at the max.